it's Cindy.
And Kathleen.
And this is the Classroom Cafe.
This week we want to talk to you about an activity that I did in my classroom with cards. It was technically a card game, but it involved lots of research on the evil leaders of World War II. We started our unit on how World War II came to be, and I wanted them to know who these leaders were, what countries they were from, and how many lives they were responsible for, and if they were fascist or not. A lot of people get Hitler and Stalin confused. They think they were both fascist. Most of my students didn't even know what fascism was when we started the unit. So it's very helpful to be able to just take it to the next level so they really understand what you're talking about. So the first thing we did was I set up QR codes with pictures of the leaders. There were 6. We talked about Emperor Hirohito, Hideki Tojo, Francisco Franco, Joseph Stalin, Adolf Hitler, and Benito Mussolini, who actually started the fascist regimes. So I put them along my wall, and they had a chart where they would take their chart to the picture, and there was a QR code. They would scan the QR code, get the information they needed to fill in the chart, and then just sketch the person based on their most identifiable features.
And the QR codes took them to like a website with information about the different leaders? Okay.
Yes. A website that was teacher approved, that is also my ability to say, you know, we're not using Wikipedia. This is the Jewish Heritage Library website that I want you to go and get this information.
And obviously included a picture of each one of the men that...
Right. Well, the picture was on the wall.
Oh, okay.
I printed out the picture, and then there was a QR code.
Okay.
And so they could look at the picture, sketch them, and do the information for the chart. And then what we did was I used regular file folders that I used for students and their communication with parents. I like colored folders. So I decided to cut out cards. They were by no means the same size, which may irritate some of you. But it was just a quick thing, and the students really didn't mind that they were different sizes. But they had to be blank on one side, and then they were able to put their information on the other side.
Okay, so you would have just cut out just some little rectangle cards, and you probably used the paper cutter, right? You did this before class, so it was nice to take class time with. Okay. Mine is not going to be straight, but I've got a little bit of a card here. All right, so just cut that out. Okay.
Very simple. I actually got this idea. I was watching a sitcom one night. That's my nighttime rituals, to watch one show for 30 minutes. And I was watching it, and they were playing a game based on some science fiction genre that was a hierarchy game. And so they would have a lot of cards in their hand, and they were all weighted different amounts. And so they would put down a bunny card, and that was the lowest weight. And then they would put down a tree card, and that was a higher weight. I don't even remember. But I thought, I wonder if there's a way to do this in kind of a morbid way for my fascism unit, to talk about really the consequences of electing these men to power and how they really influenced the world in World War II. So I made the cards, and from their charts, they had the information, where they were from, what their names were they fascist or not, how many lives they were responsible for. And they had to sketch their pictures. And so they took their cards, and one class, that's my honors class, just sketched the faces of the 6 men on their cards. They each got 7 cards, so they would have 6 cards, one with each face, and then they would have a fascism card, which was the highest rank card that they could have. So, go ahead, sketch Benito Mussolini.
I'm going to actually remember I teach math, so I probably will sketch St. Nick instead. We're getting a little closer to. I would definitely need a picture to know some identifiable. Oh, okay, there you go. But instead, we have good old Kris Kringle, which probably, I'm guessing, would rank low in this card game. And I was thinking,
like a bunny.
Well, yes, when you said the bunny and Benito, is that Benito, bunny. I also taught preschool in a former life. Maybe like a a food chain? Is that kind of what this is like?
Yeah.
Like the bunny, you said bunny, and then you were trying to think of something higher. So I was thinking lion.
Oh,
if you were doing a hierarchy of, well, a hierarchy of,
that's true.
Of things on the food chain, maybe. Right. Okay, so something like that. This is kind of like this game, if I'm understanding, is like the most evil.
Right.
Trumps the least evil.
Right.
Okay, good. And I guess you could do it, the one that did the most good versus the one that did the least good. You know,
exactly.
You could flip that. Okay. Okay, so I'm getting this game.
Or the city that had the most damage in a war versus a city that had the least damage, or the battle that had the least damage.
Okay.
But it's applicable to any class that has rankings.
Ranking, any type of ranking. Okay, so this is a hierarchy game, played with cards. The kids have gathered the information. They've drawn their own characters on their cards, so they've created their own cards. I'm assuming each kid developed a set or 6 of them. Okay, they developed 7. And the fascism card?
Right, it's kind of like the Joker.
Oh, okay.
And it's the highest rank card because it totals all of the lives that were lost under fascist regimes.
Okay.
So, which you would think would be a lot, but it almost totals the communist regimes, which is sad. But the fascism card trumps all of them.
Okay, I'm getting it now. How do you actually play the game?
Okay, so it's almost like spades. I would put the hierarchy on the active board, and I'd have the ones that were ranked the highest for my lower level class. For my honors class, I'd say, you figure it out. You know how many lives were lost. And they would shuffle the cards and hand them out, and then they would each have 7.
Okay.
And so they would go around the person who dealt, the person, excuse me.
It's okay.
The person that dealt, the person to the left would start, and then they would go from whoever won that hand. And so Hideki Tojo was ranked about in the middle, and so I would put him down, and then the next person would say, oh, well, I have a fascism card, I'm going to win this hand, so I'll put that down. And then you end up with 4 cards, and the one that's ranked the highest, that person won that hand. You can take it a step further and allow them to work with partners so that really they're understanding more of strategy and they're able to think.
And the goal is to get all of the cards in your
How
group?
many hands you can get.
Okay. Because I've never played spades either, not that I can remember. So, okay. So I'm getting it. And I'm assuming by reviewing this, then they're getting obviously more familiar with the leaders as they're playing this. They're obviously understanding the impact that each one of these leaders had on their countries. And
their final activity, the assessment activity for this game, this was just something interesting to do to remind them of what we had learned about fascism. They wrote an essay on one of these leaders and how they influenced World War II and how they really used their power in a way that was not helpful to the rest of the world. And so it was a persuasive essay, and that was how we finished the unit.
Very good. I have never seen this. I haven't heard of this. But I could see this being applicable, like we talked about, to some other disciplines for sure. And really being something that the kids enjoyed. The colors, I'm going to ask just because I noticed some of the cards are different colors. Does that matter, or those were just the file folders you had?
Those were the file folders I had, and I just like colors.
Okay.
So not to make it all one color, because then you're thinking, oh, well, this is a small blue card, so I know that this is Adolf Hitler.
Okay.
So, but I just had different colors, and I thought, oh, let's make it colorful.
All right.
But I thought, I don't know how well this is going to go. I don't know if they're going to really enjoy this, but they loved it, and they really learned from it. So,
and that's really what
I definitely will do again.
Yeah, that's what it's about, I think. So, great. Well, thanks for the idea, and thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week on the Classroom Cafe, where we take it from worksheets to wonderful.